fact that you can observe your own thoughts means there's a part of you higher than the thought process. See that? Okay. Consciousness is higher than thought. Here's more proof. Ready? Nobody doubts that sperm cells have intelligence. Sperm cells don't got no brain, though. They don't think. There's your proof. Belief is a primary quantum operator. Belief is the quantum operator. I know a lot of people have a problem with that word belief. I know. I get it. I get it. But until you have proof, that's all you got. Until you know, that's all you got. And as a matter of fact, it's belief that led you to know. You can't disparage belief. Belief is powerful, people. Belief is powerful. It's belief. And when I say belief is the primary quantum operator, I'm getting that from quantum physics. It's quantum physicists who are not religious who say that. Right. Human belief, in other words, focused human consciousness on a probability, is what enables the probability in wave function to collapse into an event, into particle function. That's quantum physics, people. It's quantum physics. And the origin of consciousness is non-physical, which means your origin is off planet.
There you go.
Next slide.
There you go.
Philosophy. Woo, here we go. Lenses for consciousness. In other words, your consciousness. Remember what I said before about belief and the quantum operator? And I said that it's human consciousness focused on a particular thing. That's what belief is. Philosophies are the containers for that focus that help shape the focus. Philosophy, people. This is why our brothers in Freemasonry aspire in their craft to be philosophers. This is why. Because philosophy shapes consciousness. And if you can shape your own, you can shape others. And it's human consciousness that projects out and creates the outside world. Ta-da. So philosophy provides a meta-geometric shape or container for thought. Who would have thought that philosophies have a geometric shape? They do. That's a secret. Now you know. Tools for human consciousness to modify reality. Some people are like, okay, well, the Gregorian calendar is false and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not false. It's just a calendar, right? If I'm going to an interview, a job interview, I don't wear sneakers or Timbs. I dress appropriately. I wear a suit and tie because that's what that condition demands. Get it? Now, if I'm hugging the block, I'm wearing something different. Understand? So it's the same thing. Like farmers understand the Gregorian calendar and they follow it, but not for their crops. For their crops, they follow the lunar calendar. 28 days a month for 13 months. See? So they just know which ones to use for what task. So we do philosophy the same way. That's why in the More Science of America, people say, oh, well, God's name is not Allah, God's name is Yahweh, or his name is not Yahweh, his name is this. We don't trip on that. It's just a name. See? Philosophy are psychic algorithms to subscribe thought parameters. And because philosophy does all this, guess what it does? Philosophy is the bridge that unites science and religion, both as methods to explore reality. Next slide. We've gone over this before, so I'm going to be very brief. What we've been indoctrinated with today to call science and the scientific method is not science at all. It's not science at all. What the European psychology did to religion, it also did to science. Believe it or not, people, religious knowledge built the pyramids. Take it or leave it alone. The fact of the matter is, we were never taught religion. We only thought. It's just like our brothers that are atheists, our brothers and sisters that are atheists. They say, well, I don't believe in God. Listen, I can halfway salute them. You know why? Because what they're really saying is they don't believe in the God that they were taught about. See? They don't believe that's what it is. They don't believe it. So we shout out to my brother Terrence Howard. We listen. We gonna do some things for Terrence Howard today.
Uh-oh.
You hear me?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We're gonna do some things for
Yo!
I promise you we are. I promise you.
Yo,
shout out to Terrence
man.
Howard. Terrence Howard sounds crazy to the masses. Why? Because he's speaking from a narrative that's beyond the narrative they were trained to think in. That's why. That's why. Terrence Howard is a walking, breathing example as to why this world can't build pyramids. Which would you rather have, the physical pyramid or the mind that created it? Well, if you can't think in tune with the mind that created it, you'll never get there. See? Terrence Howard's frame of thinking is beyond the present narrative. And when I say narrative, you can substitute that with world. It's beyond the narrative, the present narrative that governs the world today. That's the problem. See? So what we've been taught that science is, in other words, if you can't touch, taste, hear, smell, or feel it, it's not scientific. What did we just show in the previous slide? Consciousness isn't physical. How about that? So is it spooky? Absolutely not. It's actually more real than your flesh is. See? Science, the way science has been, is the way we've been indoctrinated into what science they want us to believe science is today, denies your immortality. It denies your divinity. Okay? Scientism is what it is, and scientism ain't science. It's bad philosophy. That's what it is. What we're dealing with is not science versus religion. We're dealing with scientism versus religion. And what does it seek to do? It seeks to supplant the worldview of true religion. And when I say true religion, I'm talking about the mindset of your forefathers. And reduce that to mere ethics without a claim over the nature of reality. In other words, it's colonization of science. Next slide. If you can afford it, get this book. This book now costs a whole lot of money. From particles or matter to field physics, from Newtonian physics to quantum physics. In other words, how Western science was dragged kicking and screaming to the fact that they were just catching up to our ancient forefathers. In other words, energies and functions as objects of study, not just physical things. Why? Because the energies and functions are what give rise to the physical things. Those of you that collect and deal with crystals, have you ever thought what in the world enables the crystal to form itself into six-sided shapes? Old world spiritual religious instruction describing field and energetic interaction. Okay? In other words, what are we doing right now in our present stage of this initiation, people? We're going from particle to wave function. That's what we're doing. But that's why I'm taking your mind right now. From objects to process. Because it's process that gives objects their meaning. See? Now, here we go. It's starting to get interesting now. The ancient Aramaic languages, Arabic, Akkadian, Hebrew, etc. Those Aramaic letter systems, guess what they are, people? You listen, pat yourself on the back real quick. All of you. You know why? What you're really doing is patting your forefathers back and say, man, these were some smart dudes, man. Our forefathers and mothers were so brilliant. Now you realize why they had to get their brains. They had to kill them and erase that brilliance, or try to erase that brilliance out of their brain, out of our brain. Old Aramaic letter systems are visual representations of quantum energetic configurations. Next slide. Don't believe me? Let the European tell you. Get this book by Stan Tenen, The Alphabet That Changed the World. How Genesis Preserves a Science of consciousness in geometry and gesture. You want to do some subsequent study, look up an organization called the Meru Foundation, MERU. Let's get into the slide. Old-time religion. Ancient religious text as, guess what, people? Quantum mechanical formulas. Aramaic letters as quantum energetic schema or processes. What do these letters do? Capture and communicate the geometries of creative energies and forces. They isolate the line uniting divinity and matter. In other words, the singularity with wholeness. The letters represent microcosmic and macrocosmic movement. And remember, in a previous show, I gave you all another secret, a secret triangle. Energy equals information. The presence of information equals the presence of intelligence. Those of you that work with spirits, truly work with spirits, know exactly what I'm talking about. Old religious texts were simultaneously a storyline for the profane, in other words, the uninitiated, and a manual of creation for the priesthood. Don't believe me? Want an example? Well, I'm going to give you an example in the next slide. The letters are simultaneous. This one here, if you got any, if we have viewing any Freemasons, any initiated Freemasons, they're going to like this one. The letters are simultaneously visual, tactile, and audible. In Freemasonry, we call it what? Signs, grips, and words. The letters, numbers are visible, audible, and tactile shadows of living intelligent processes. Next slide. Y'all good? Brother Rich, ask the audience. They all right? They good?
Oh, yeah, they loving it. They loving it. Let us know in the chat if y'all good. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. Do me a favor, people. If you haven't been doing it already, take screenshots of the slides. Especially take screenshots of this slide. Take a screenshot. Y'all have seen this symbol before, especially members of the Moorish Science Symbol of America or students of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But do you understand what it's, some of the things that it's conveying? Y'all caught what I just said earlier about the letters, right? Right now, specifically, we're dealing with Arabic. The manifest world is perceptual. We've said this before. We've given an example of it before, right? We talk about, like, if you see colors, colors are only interpreted inside your head, right? If you're looking at something red, it's not red outside. It's red inside. It's red inside your head. So literally, the outside world is your unfolding perception. That's just the truth. It's scary, but it's exciting. Perception is the unfolding of human consciousness. Thus, perception is power. Initiation, like what we're going through now, is nothing but the expansion of your perception. Everybody's heard of duality, right? People get tripped up over this whole duality thing. You know, father, mother, male, female, blah, 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 right? In the ancient tradition, duality is an illusion. It's not duality. It's polarity. That's what it is. It's polarity presenting itself as duality. When you pick up a penny, nobody says, oh, he got a head and a tail. They say they got a penny. One side of the penny's heads and one side of the penny's tails. Get it? So what is the true duality or polarity expressing itself as duality? In the Moorish Science Symbol of America, in the teachings of Drew Ali, he uses these words: force and power, truth and falsehood. What do we mean? Here we go. If your hand is in front of a light next to a wall, it casts a shadow on the wall. The shadow cannot exist without the hand, but the hand can definitely exist without the shadow. In this analogy, The hand is force. The hand is truth. The shadow is power. The shadow is falsehood. So we don't moralize it. It's not a good or bad thing. It's one is the real thing, and one is a projection from the real thing. Get it? Do you realize that your human flesh is a projection? Guess what quantum physicists, which we're going to show later, quantum physicists now agree with that. They say anything in the three-dimensional world is a shadow of higher dimensional processes. They actually say that now. All right. Duality, which is the initial movement, the initial primordial movement, okay, where polarity expresses itself as duality. Then it doubles. So now you have four temperaments: light, dark, lighter, darker. That's what you have. And then those four temperaments form four directions. All right. And then those four directions. Oh, hold on. Let me back up. Oh, no. It's on the slide under the circle 7 symbol. Undifferentiated matter. Let me stop right there. What do you mean by undifferentiated matter? Everybody remembers Genesis. Genesis 1 in the Bible. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But then there's a very curious verse. Verse 2. The earth was without form and void. What does that mean? I just told you. It means that the darkness, the so-called emptiness, wasn't empty. It was unformed virgin matter, like virgin mother. Get it? Unformed, undifferentiated matter. Remember what we said about these letters? What are they? Energy processes. And anytime you see energy, it's a sign of the presence of what, people? Intelligence. Our forefathers knew this. When Pythagoras learned mathematics in Egypt, and they call it Pythagorean mathematics, do you know what one of the key things about that mathematics is? One of the key principles? That the numbers are living things. You hear me? The numbers are living things because they're energies. All right. So undifferentiated matter, right? In the form of these letters, they're called in the Arabic al-Johar, which means the jewels. These jewels are self-conscious. And what they did with the temperaments is that this undifferentiated matter began to organize itself in these four corners. 7 letters to each corner. See? 7 letters to each corner. That now you know why the Elohim number 7. That's why. They create the web or the matrix of matter. These 7 letters flock to each corner, and that formed what we call the 4 elements. Earth, water, air, fire. These primordial self-conscious jewels are the 28 Arabic letters and can be accessed via visualization, gesture, and voice. In other words, what? Sign, grip, and word. Next slide. Take a screenshot, people. These letters are living intelligences. I already said that, but guess what they do? Remember what I said earlier? They link the microcosm to the macrocosm. 7 letters for each of the 4 corners of the world. 4 letters for each of the 7 planetary spheres. Each one of these 4 letters for each sphere represents one of the 4 elements. Okay? Each make up, or the 4 letters make up each of the 7 ether planes or planetary spheres. Notice I didn't say physical I didn't say physical planet. I said planetary spheres. We're going to get into why I said it that way. These spheres connect time via the days and the planets to human perception, the 7 chakras, and bodily influence, what our brothers in the in Haiti call penchant, or hot points in the body. These jewels exist in spaces in your body. They are the dormant deities living in your flesh. Next slide. Brother Rich, do me a favor. Run your mouse over the bottom right part of the screen, or